Outside of Khartoum, Sudan. The plan is for 550,000 barrels of oil to flow out of Sudan each day. Chen kicked the dust under his feet. In the distance, Chinese laborers erected scaffolding around what was to be the new Middle East headquarters of Chinatec Oil. My friends, Tan swept his hand across the landscape. This is the 21st century. All the dignitaries, Sudanese, Chinese, and otherwise, all nodded, then applauded after the translation. It is with the help of our friends in the Sudanese government that Chinatec Oil will turn this now barren stretch of earth into one of the great centers of commerce in the world. Chinatec is very pleased to count Sudan as a friend and business partner. The 21st century belongs to us. Everyone clapped. After a tour of the initial construction at the site, Tan and his 3 vice presidents got back into the Toyota Land Cruiser that had brought them there. Work was slightly behind schedule, but that was to be expected given the unrealistic expectations of Beijing. Overall, Tan was pleased. He could report back that things were progressing steadily. Tan stared out the window at the desert rolling by. He had come a long way. He was the son of a simple rice farmer in Guangdong province. His father had fought with Mao. After the Cultural Revolution, Tan had been in the right place at the right time. He had just graduated from Beijing University with a degree in geological chemistry as a wind of reform blew through post-Mao China. He was approached by the party for a leadership position. They wanted him to run a factory, but in the new spirit of reform, someone thought it wise to send the budding young apparatchik to business school in Singapore instead. 3 years later, Tan set foot back in his homeland, one of 3 MBAs in the country and one of the few of his generation to have spent any real time abroad. Tan started his career managing part of one of the 3 oil refineries in China at the time. 10 years later, he was running the entire show, all 3 refineries and the building of 3 more. Now he was CEO of Chinatec Oil, the fastest growing oil company in the world. Not bad for the son of a rice farmer. The embassy gate swung open, and the Land Cruiser and escort vehicles rolled up to the embassy door. Tan and his men got out. The ambassador's assistant met him. Comrade Tan, please come with me. The ambassador has been waiting for your return. The small frame protocol officer bowed. They walked down the stone hallway. Then the assistant knocked on and then opened the massive red door in front of them. Comrade Tan. Tan bowed, and then the ambassador did the same. It is good to see you. Please come in and tell me of your trip. That is all, Mr. Chu. The ambassador dismissed the escort with a wave of his hand. The assistant turned on his heels and shut the door behind him. Tan took the leather love seat next to the bar. Would you like a drink? Asked the ambassador. Tan loosened his tie and leaned back, stretching his ailing spine. Sure, he said. Whiskey. The ambassador handed Tan a glass. So what'd you think? He asked. Things generally seem to be on schedule. I'm pleased. Beijing should be also, Tan said. Good, said the ambassador. Is there anything that Beijing can do for you? Is there anything the project needs? How about another 150 laborers? My chief project manager tells me we need more men. Consider it done, said the ambassador. Good, said Tan. Though China was rarely short of anything these days, one thing it had never been short of was people. In fact, after pirated software, China's #1 export was its workers. In the previous 10 years, an army of engineers, scientists, and business people had begun to envelop the world. Tan was proud to be part of this vanguard of upwardly mobile people. It was now hard to go anywhere on the globe and not see the influence of Tan's countrymen. After centuries in eclipse, China was finally reasserting its role as a global economic leader. The endeavor in Sudan was an example of this. The situation in Darfur continues to be problematic, said the ambassador. The Americans and the British keep making noises at the UN. There's some evidence of American meddling with the Christian resistance groups. But the Janjaweed militias seem to be doing their job, and resistance is now minimal. The oil-rich areas should be completely under Khartoum's control soon. That was good news for Tan. Much of China Oil's strategy in this part of the world rested on the elimination of resistance by the Christians, who until very recently had occupied the oil-rich swaths of southwestern Sudan. The Islamic government was in the midst of waging a proxy war against these groups by employing bands of marauders called the Janjaweed, who over the past few years had systematically destroyed the Christian presence there. What the Janjaweed was doing was brutal, but it had to be done, thought Tan. China could not afford to cede control to of the Darfurian oil fields to the Christian resistance, and by extension to the Americans. There was no choice for China. If genocide was necessary to secure the future for Tan's emerging homeland, so be it. The Americans had done it to the Indians, the British to South Asia, the Japanese to his home. Cruel things often had to be done to secure the interests of a nation. The ambassador put his glass down and poured some more whiskey. He poured some into Tan's glass as well. To Chinatec, the ambassador said. To China, said Tan.